A massive ball of hot plasma in the sky, keeping us alive. Although the sun is the source of life and energy on the Earth, it also displays an assortment of ways to destroy us all, and we're only just starting to uncover some of the tools in its arsenal. Today, we will be looking at how the sun is currently trying to kill us, and how this isn't the first time it's done it. If you're scared of this, so are millions of scientists. Will something happen? When? How? Can we stop it? We may never know for sure, but we do know that the sun presents us with a barrage of potential dangers, some of which are more pressing than others. Solar storms. What are they? Rarely do we give the sun's life-giving light a second thought as we soak up its rays and enjoy its warmth. But perhaps you might if you knew that the sun often pushes electromagnetic radiation into its atmosphere. These are called solar flares, which can be accompanied by coronal mass ejections, or CMEs. CMEs occur when there is a massive release of plasma and magnetic field into the solar wind. As much as we tell ourselves that we're a safe distance away, the truth of the matter is that we're gravitationally bound to the sun and its massive, ongoing nuclear explosions, which are larger than anything we've ever been able to create here on Earth, by a long shot. Solar flares and CMEs put off high-energy particles that can cause radiation poisoning in humans and other mammals. To unshielded astronauts, large doses of this could be fatal. Luckily, our atmosphere and magnetosphere shield our bodies on Earth, but it can still affect our technology. A massive solar storm with the right intensity and direction can pose a threat to all forms of high technology. It begins with a solar flare, which pushes X-rays and intense UV radiation to Earth, ionizing the upper layer of our atmosphere. This can then cause radio blackouts and GPS navigation errors at first, and within minutes, the energetic particles could electrify satellites and damage our electronics. CMEs, which are billion-ton clouds of magnetized plasma, could take more than a day to cross the space. When a CME strikes the Earth's atmosphere, it can cause a temporary disturbance of the Earth's magnetic field. This causes a storm on the Earth, known as a geomagnetic storm. While invisible and harmless to people on the planet's surface, geomagnetic waves can cripple power grids, jam radio communications, bathe airline crews in harmful radiation, and knock satellites off kilter. In 2012, we dodged a hit which could have caused widespread power blackouts, disabling everything that plugs into wall sockets. Most people wouldn't even be able to flush their toilets because urban water supplies primarily rely on electric pumps. How to better understand the sun. The sun goes through 11-year cycles, within which there is a solar minimum and a solar maximum. These cycles coincide with the sun's polarity reversal, which switches back and forth based on the cycle. In short, sometimes south becomes north, then 11 years later, north becomes south again. Solar activity quiets down right as the cycle is about to begin, and the poles switch. This is the solar minimum. Then, halfway through the period, solar activity amps up, and sunspots and flares become more intense and frequent. This is known as the solar maximum. There's no actual set timeline, but it is the number and frequency of sunspots that determines the phase it's in. 24 of these cycles have been tracked so far, and scientists predict the next will begin around 2025. CMEs happen more often than you'd expect. Over several hours, 1 billion tons of material from the sun's surface is accelerated to speeds of 1 million miles per hour. A jet at this speed would get you from Los Angeles to New York in just 18 seconds. On average, CMEs happen every 5 days or so, in the quieter periods of the sun, but they can also occur several times a day. It's like knowing you're watching a ticking bomb without the timer. At some point, it will go off, but you have no real way of knowing when. In the case of the sun, scientists estimate a 12% chance of a massive solar hurricane hitting us each decade, or a 50-50 chance of at least one every 50 years. In 2019, a study found that even constars can create massive superflares every 1,000 years, like our sun. Truthfully, scientists have yet to predict exactly what will happen with the sun. Although new methods are being developed and have allowed scientists to predict an incoming storm 12 to 18 hours prior to impact, we are still theorizing, hypothesizing, and learning. The consequences of a massive solar storm hitting the Earth before we could catch it could be catastrophic. Without our warning system and quick preventative measures, we could unexpectedly be hauled back into the Stone Age. CMEs and the modern world. Like I mentioned before, in 2012, we had one of the most significant solar events when a CME tore through the Earth's orbit, or at least where Earth could have been. Fortunately, that's not where Earth was. Instead, the storm hit the Stereo A spacecraft. Reports say that if the eruption had occurred just a week earlier, the Earth could have been in the line of fire. Before 2012, when researchers talked about extreme solar storms, the touchstone was the iconic Carrington event of 1859, named after English astronomer Richard Carrington, who saw the flare with his own eyes. In the following days, a series of powerful CMEs hit Earth head-on with strength and potency that has not been felt since. The intense geomagnetic storms ignited the northern lights as far south as Cuba and caused global telegraph lines to spark. It set fire to some telegraph offices and disabled the Victorian internet as it was. Are we in danger of a storm on the same scale as the Carrington event today? What would a storm of that scale look like today as our society has become increasingly reliant on technology? No one can know the answers to these questions with confidence. We can only look at the smaller events and make our best predictions. In 2017, we saw a ghost of what could be when a solar storm coincided with a Category 5 hurricane Irma. The storm caused ham radios to cut and turn to static right as the storm ripped through the Caribbean. Before it, in 2015, solar storms knocked out global positioning systems. With warning, Earth-based power grids could be reconfigured and provided extra grounding. Are we actually doomed? If you pick up a tabloid at your local store, you're bombarded with doomsday predictions and outlandish claims that the end is nigh. Somehow, we've allowed this to creep into our thought process, and many of us internalize it as an inevitability rather than one of many possibilities. Is it time to panic? Not really. Our world is full of restless headlines and eye-catching extremes, but the chances are in our favor on this front, despite how it sounds. With scientists and attention directed at solar storms, we're somehow more prepared at our most vulnerable. With enough planning and forewarning, we could protect the world's electrical grid against even the worst storms, especially as solar storm research is increasingly catching the attention of modern-day governments. In the past 15 years, the US and the UK have built space weather forecasting centers that deliver daily outlooks on what may be coming for airlines, power grids, satellite owners, and anyone who may be threatened by the solar flares. In 2018, the Parker Solar Probe was launched to study the sun in incredible detail and helps to provide us information on how the sun works. We're still in the dark as to what triggers these events. Any amount of data we gather will help us in the long run. Scientists have been trying to research and understand the planet's electrical conductivity to help them predict how surges of power would spread through the underground. We're safe, for now, and getting safer as time passes. But even if the probabilities are low, the sun may continue to surprise us. It's all a matter of watching, waiting, and learning. Let us know in the comments below how you would stay entertained if a solar storm knocked out your electronic devices. Don't forget to hit the like button if you liked this video, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and until next time!